I normally tell everybody about the process of coin making because a lot of people aren't terribly aware about hammer striking, but I'm sure you're familiar with sort of, heating up the blanks, getting blank coins, reheating them slightly in the fire, and then actually striking the designs. This is a medieval reconstruction of a medieval window design, but this is the key bit really. This is showing the process. So the lady in the red is holding over her head a hammer, and you can see she's got the upper coin die here, and she's got a blank under here. She's about to whack the whole thing and impart the image onto the coin, and in the close-up there you can see the lower die is the spiked one, which would be stuck into the anvil or a block of wood, as in this case, and then you just put the blank on, put the die over the top, hit the whole image on. Now, the Roman process was a lot faster, because the problem with this, of course, is if you're doing it one at a time, you've got to put the blank on, take it off, pick up another one, put it on, hammer the coin, and it's slow. So the Roman system essentially involves about 5 people. So you have one person who is putting the blank coin onto the lower die. You then have one person who, presumably with a pair of tongs, holds the upper die on top of that blank, ready to be struck. You've got the guy with the hammer who puts the image, hits the die and transfers that image onto the coin. And then you've got somebody who takes the finished coin off and throws it into the pile of finished coins. And basically the guy with the hammer just gets himself into a good rhythm, and he keeps going until his 10 minutes or whatever is up, and they all switch around. And if you're putting the blanks on, you don't worry too much about how well you've lined up the coin with the die, because the guy with the hammer is just doing that. So you're only going to go, is that one level? Because down comes the hammer again. And they are clearly mass producing them in this manner. So if you look at most of the bronze coins and the silver coins, you will see lots of misstrikes. You'll see them off centre. You'll sometimes see them sticking, sometimes they will stick to one or the other of the dies. The guy who's taken the finished coin off them hasn't picked them up, or it's come away with the upper die when the guy with the tongs has moved it. And you'll get another blank going down, and then the coin goes back on top, and then you get the image reversed again. So the image that's been struck onto the lower side of one coin is coming away, and then it's been stuck onto the upper side in reverse. So you get these things called blockages, where you get very weird double strikes on these coins, where the images have got turned in backwards. The interesting thing with the gold is that doesn't happen, certainly not in this hoard. And all of the gold coins are perfectly centered. They're all aligned so that if you turn them around, the image on the other side is either exactly the same way or 180 degrees around the other side. They're taking a lot more time and care with the gold. They're producing them to a much higher standard than they are the silver coins, possibly in part because they're producing smaller numbers, so they don't have to worry quite so much, but it's also the quality of the coin is important. So there's just a replica die, and that's the process there, where you have your little blank flan in between your 2 dies, and on goes the image once you strike it with a hammer. Now, the mint sites, 4th century mint sites, there's quite a lot of production centres. When we looked through the coin hoard, these are the sites we've actually got represented. So we've actually got quite a spread from the western mints across to the eastern mints. There are 4th century coin mints in Britain, but by the period we're looking at, 370 and later, they've dropped out of use. So there is no standard coin production in Britain, so they're having to bring them in from elsewhere. And Trier, Lyon, the ones in Italy, western mints you tend to sort of expect, but we have got some from the eastern mints as well. By far the most common, you're no doubt aware, on these coins the mint marks are the 2 letters either side of the figure on the reverse. So on these ones we have MD. I think we've got 119 of the 159 coins have got the mint mark of MD. Anybody want to take a guess at what MD stands for? It's the hardest one. It's Mediolanum, and that's Milan. So the vast majority of these coins are made in Milan. We've then got 11 of them with RV, which is another Italian site. This is Ravenna. And then we have, that is TR, and we have 11 from Trier. which is quite a common mint site for coins turning up in this country, of course. I hope you can work out what RM might be as a mint site for the Romans. 8 coins from Rome. And then we have a few which lack those mint marks, and 3 of those are from Thessalonica in Greece, and 3 of them are from Constantinople over in what is now Turkey. And then we have 2 coins from Lyon, and we have a single example from Sirmium, which I think, is it Serbia? I think it's got a very unpronounceable modern name, but it's in the eastern provinces, but it was a very big centre at the time, and I'm afraid it's not one I know a lot about. But an interesting spread, and essentially we have the vast majority of the coins in the west, with a few outliers from the east, and then the vast majority of the western ones actually are coming from Italy. And really the ones that it's worth taking note of is that, okay, we've got a few from Trier, but only 2 from Lyon. If you look at the coins in the smaller change that reached Britain in the 4th century, when Britain isn't producing its own coins, most of them are being produced in Trier or Lyon. And what's happening is this process is going on, and they're essentially saying, we need a job lot, we need to supply small change to the troops in Britain, we need to bang out a few million coins, work through those dies. As the dies wear out, they replace them with new ones, and then they bag up the whole bunch, and they're sent en masse to Britain. And there is evidence that that's actually happening, that you're getting whole shiploads of coin types from those mints going over. And if you look at the 4th century small change, you'll often see TRP for Trier appearing on them, and LG for Lugdunum, Lyon. So those 2 sites, you would expect a lot of coins of these gold coins to be from them, because they're really the closest geographic mints to Britain. But the vast majority of them are Mediolanum, Milan, and that is essentially because by this period Milan is considered a better capital than Rome, because strategically in the Western Empire it's better positioned, it's more central. The army has reorganised by this time, so it is much more of a rapid strike force, it's cavalry based, and so if you're trying to respond to things on the borders, it's actually better being much more up here in the centre than down here where everybody's got to come round the corners to you. Unfortunately, during Honorius's reign, the Goths attack and invade Milan, so Honorius moves to Ravenna, which is a coastal town, heavily fortified coastal town, and is a bit more secure. And we'll talk about the mints a little bit. Actually, no, we'll do them there. Basically, the last piece of the writing that we have on these coins is the bit along the bottom, which basically doesn't change. It says "Como." And we got really caught out about this to start with, because it is originally a mint mark, and I think it starts with Constantinople, and then a couple of the other mint sites use the term as well. But Como basically becomes a mark of value on the coins. It's talking about the purity of the coins, and ob is an abbreviation of abrizum, which is the word for basically pure, high quality. So it's basically saying this is high quality gold. The com piece, com, seems to be an abbreviation of comes, which is, in this case, is probably comes ori, which is the count of the gold, which is a post whereby you've got sort of the Roman version of, well, the governor of the Bank of England probably, who was guaranteeing the quality of the gold. So common is basically saying pure gold as guaranteed by the count of the gold. So it's basically confirming that this is the real thing, that this is the genuine stuff. And what's interesting is that the pure gold solidi, the gold coins that are issued, they're only issued at mint sites that the emperor has theoretically visited in the year of that issue. So that's how you can date these coins, because we know that Milan runs through most of the reign of Honorius, that for most of the time he's issuing coins from there. But then he jumps to Ravenna, and he stays in Ravenna because it's safer. So all the gold coins issued there get this title put on because the emperor is present in that town, and he obviously visits Rome at certain times as well, and to a lesser extent Trier, and even more lesser extent Lyon. So you do get a few of these other ones appearing as well. The Roman ones are particularly interesting because they are essentially the latest dated coins that we can get, because he was Honorius was issuing coins of this type into 408 AD, and it is essentially pretty much impossible to date any Roman coins circulating in Britain after 408, because that is really the last time any coins come into the country in any number. Within 2 years, Honorius has written this letter saying we're not sending any more troops over, and if you haven't got the troops needing to be paid, there's no real reason for the coins to come in. So basically 408 is about as late as you can date any Roman coin. There's a couple of exceptions, but they're really rare as hen's teeth.